Alright everyone, it's Friday and we're on the eve of the big game, Celtic versus that mob. Stevie, I'm going to be very petty. I'm not even using their name in today's video. They're the enemy.
Gym trainer briefing you there, mate. Aye. level 5 and all that.
How are you, Stevie?
They were great days, weren't they? Yeah, I'm good. Is it me, by the way, or has it not just been a quite subdued week in the run-up to this final? It's weird, isn't it? But I think tomorrow, it's going to be full throttle. I really do.
I agree with you. It's been weird because first of all, it's been a while since we've had you on the channel. I think the last time you were on chatting to me was after the last derby, but kind of one of these midweek ones, it was before the last derby. A hell of a lot's happened since then, Stevie.
I know. I noticed all the subs went up when I wasn't talking to you, mate. So that's maybe a pattern, isn't it?
We're nearly at 7,000, by the way, everyone. So, in fact, we might be there by the time you're watching this. Even if we are, please subscribe. Get us to 7K. That's all I'm going to say. But yeah, I agree with you, Stevie. It's been like we had this time last week. We just won the league. We had all the celebrations. We were looking forward to Trophy Day at Celtic Park, and it felt very much like the end of the season because there was the families on the pitch and all that. But suddenly we're thrust back into what is a huge game. So it's a weird kind of refocusing and recalibrating of people's mindsets.
Aye, the showpiece event of the season and all that. But yeah, I think it's going to be a great occasion. We're very much looking forward to it. And I think it's a good thing that we've heard very little from the Celtic players or the manager getting into this game. I just think it shows that they're going to be ultra focused and very professional. And I dare say, when we're talking about it, that I'll go into my reasoning as to why that is and why that's going to be a big factor in the outcome of this game. But yeah, among like speaking to yourself in the chats and other people at work and everything, being very quiet, very subdued, and I don't think you can just blame that on the weather, which you'll be unsurprised to know has been a pure washout this week after we were
nice.
We were promised sunshine and all that, but nah, this is Glasgow after all. We'll only get nice things in small measures, Hamish. But hopefully we get a very nice thing on Saturday.
That's interesting. I thought the weather's to be nice for the game tomorrow as well, but we'll wait and see. We've got loads to chat about today, as you can probably understand. So yeah, settle down and hopefully you enjoy. We'll be focusing mainly on the game tomorrow, but there's also a game at Celtic Park on Sunday, Stevie, a Legends match. And yesterday I spoke to the Chief Executive of the Celtic Foundation, Tony Hamilton. So that'll be coming on later in this video as well. Just generally, Stevie, how are you feeling about Saturday? How would you describe your feeling?
The complete opposite of what I have been before every game against them this season. I really am. I'm very careful not to go and make sure be cocky or arrogant about it, because I do understand it'll be a tough game. But I for the first time, into all these games, I've been getting in with a bit of a fear factor with that whole law of averages thing, thinking, they'll due a result, or all it takes is a daft mistake from us and they'll get something. But, I've got total belief in this group of players and the management as well. I think they have really proved in the last few weeks that they are big dogs when you look at their results. You look at the way that we sprinted over the line and you look at our performances in the derbies this season. I don't think we have any reason to doubt them. I think they deserve our complete confidence and support. They're certainly getting mine. And I know that a lot of people on the channel are probably going to be going and getting a drink and thinking, are they in the real world here? Because this is me, but for once, I'm not thinking, we've got to watch it for him, or don't give any of these daft free kicks away. I honestly think the team will have done their homework. They know what to expect. And I think that's the difference. I think in this game, it's the fact that we're the unpredictable team, because, look at what that Celtic team has done in the last 5-6 weeks. Rangers are going to be going, well, God, is it going to be Daizen Maeda or James Forrest, or is it going to be both of them? They don't know, but Callum McGregor was, I don't want to say a laughing stock getting into the games against them, because obviously they were thinking too much about his performance in the 3 each game. And then his performance against them in that 2-1 win at Celtic Park, again, that was just so unexpected from their side of things, in their point of view. So yeah, I think they've got far more to think about than we do. I don't think that's going to enter the Brendan Rodgers sort of thinking. No, I think he'll be treating it ultra seriously, as he should. But no, I'm really optimistic going into this one, Hamish. First derby of the season, where you could say that, yeah, really, really confident and looking forward to it. And I actually think we'll win.
I appreciate you've just outlined why you feel like that, but I just want to, ask you a wee bit more, kind of get right into why it is that you're feeling so good at it. I mean, is it that the league was so pressurised that maybe it feels slightly different in the cup, even though it's such a huge game, or is it the fact Celtic are far better, or is part of it the fact that Rangers really seem to be struggling in recent months?
I think it's the moods between both sides and sets of fans. Like Celtic fans are now so buoyant, optimistic at Celtic Park on Saturday for Trophy Day. Everyone all smiling, having a good time, and
even
there was a real buzz. Let's not go too far. No, there was a real buzz and a real energy, a vibrant energy, and it was great. And I think the players are feeding off it. Like, as I said, in those last 5-6 weeks, there's been total unity. Remember, we called for it in that St Mirren game. The players and fans had to be united. There's been all this squabbling from board level and to the management, players and fans. It was just all this daft infight, and certain players weren't playing the way they could, and they weren't helped by the fact that the Celtic hierarchy hadn't invested in the team. But we decided, before the St Mirren game, really had to just put all that aside and just put the foot down, get the heads together and just focus on winning this league. And I think the players have delivered. I mean, the proof's there. Champions again. And I think the fans have played their part, and every single Celtic fan I know can appreciate that. The fact that if there's a buoyant mood and there's a real feeling of togetherness, get into a game, you'd rather be in that side than when you look at when I went to Rangers fans I've spoken to, like a good few mates of mine are just wanting the game over and done with. Like, I can't imagine getting into a game like this and thinking, just get it over and done with and let's just deal with the summer. Like, for me, I'm like, I don't really want the season to end at this point. I want to keep going. I want to keep enjoying the football and keep enjoying how Celtic are playing. I want to keep enjoying seeing how Dyson Maeda has been tearing teams apart. I want to see how James Forrest is rejuvenated. I want to see Callum McGregor shut me up even more after I said in the last few weeks I have doubts about him. I want to see more of this. So, and when you look at Rangers and their fans, they don't want to see any of their players at all. They'll just want to see the back of them. So I think that's where the big contrast is. Now, of course, all it takes is Philip Clement probably getting his act together and making a couple of tactical tweaks, and it's a very different game. But as I said, we can't focus too much on what Rangers and what Philip Clement does. It's just about what we do, and I feel if we play to our maximum capabilities, if we play to our best, I don't think any team in this country can live with. And that's not me being arrogant, because I'm not. I think anybody in this channel watching will know that I'm a very cautious Celtic fan. We all know this and always tend to see the worst in the team a lot of this season and maybe overthink things, but I just can't now. I think we can always look to improve, and we'll have to talk about that next season. But from what we've got now, I just think there's no question that man for man at the moment, Hamish, we are just a better team.
I think you're right there. I mean, if you were to look at as the player based on form right now and look at the two teams, I don't think there'd be one Rangers player you would take. Even folk will say Jack Butland. I think Joe Hart is in better form than Jack Butland and has been over the past few months. So there's no doubt Celtic have the better players, full stop, but the more informed players at the moment. I think you make a good point about the difference in feeling and the supports, and I think that will have an effect on the game as well. I don't think the team are going to be complacent at all. Brendan Rodgers used that word you used, arrogant, yesterday, and said, we don't get arrogant. I don't think generally the Celtic support will be complacent or arrogant tomorrow. I think it's more a case of everyone will still be in such a high. I don't think even if Celtic maybe don't start the game particularly well, I don't think the Celtic support will turn tomorrow, just based on the last few weeks, because there's such a feel-good factor. I think conversely, their support at Hampden, and it's obviously 50-50 tomorrow. Their support, in a weird way, I think will almost just be waiting for a chance to get on their team's back, because they're all really frustrated with what they're seeing at the moment. And I think if we start the game like we did in the last one and dominate them and get an early goal, like we have in a few derbies this season, I really think their atmosphere could really turn, and ours could really get behind us. So I think that is a factor. I agree with you just generally that I'm confident for this game, but I'm always just wary of it's a one-off game. It's a cup final, and I know it's a cliche, anything can happen and form goes out the window, and I've always kind of debated that phrase, form goes out the window, but it can just be one thing in these matches that make the difference. It can be an early tackle that just sets the tone for the game. I think the team and the support, like I said for the last one, we have to be ready for a battle tomorrow. If we're ready for a battle and we win that battle, then I think our football will be too strong for them.
Yes, but I think as well the players did battle in that 2-1 game, and they battled at Ibrox too. So they do have the bottle for it. I feel getting into this game, there's so much pressure as well on their manager and not Brendan, because that's 3 times now this season so far, I believe. Yeah. They've been 2-0 down against us, and that's it. So the December game, 3 each game, and now there. So there's so much pressure on him to get it right. And I think Clement, maybe from November to February, seemed pretty reasonable, fairly rational. Didn't seem like as if he was tactically naive or anything. Like, at times we were maybe, I think looking back on it, I certainly overestimated him, overrated him, but certainly, and probably had been eating humble pie with my criticism of Brendan Rodgers. But in the last 5-6 weeks, you look at the turnaround. I mean, Brendan Rodgers has been so focused. He's also been sly as well in a good way with the mind games that he's deployed, and Clement's been rattled with them. He has. He's got, to quote a famous Glasgow comedian, he's got a reaction, and that wee point. He's got a reaction, and Clement in the last 5-6 weeks has just hit out with some amount of nonsense, to the point it's not just me saying it as a rival fan. Like, I actually hear what my pals who support Rangers do say, and they're like,
we can't let that's twice you've mentioned pals that support.
Right, okay.
What is going on?
Right, I'm trying to be can't we all get on, man? God's sake. No, that's what I'm saying. I think it's massive amounts of pressure on him. And when you look at Brendan Rodgers' record at Hampden, I believe he's still unbeaten, which is definitely going to go in his favour. I mean, even look at that 3 each game we saw against Aberdeen. I don't think we were great, and that spawned Rizzo's infamous, or they're all losers part. And yet, we're terrible in that game, and we still managed to get the win. Even playing way below our best. So it's going to take something. It's going to take something big for Clement to get one over Rodgers, I feel, on Saturday.
Yeah, this will be Brendan Rodgers' 11th trip to Hampden as Celtic manager. He's won the previous 10, 4 against Aberdeen, 3 against Rangers, 2 against Motherwell, 1 against Hibernian. Rodgers yesterday quoted as saying, "Everything suits us here. You come to Hampden and it's a big pitch. In the main, it's always in a good condition. It's fast. We like to play a fast attacking game. I said when I first came here that if you want to be multiple winners, you have to enjoy playing at Hampden." For me, Rodgers has achieved so much at Celtic so far, and hopefully there's plenty more to come. For me, probably his biggest achievement has been turning Hampden from a ground we hated, a bogey ground where Inverness, St Mirren, Ross County twice, Hearts, Kilmarnock would all beat us, to a ground where we very rarely lose. I think, and I even said last season, before Rodgers came back, that I felt Rodgers he'd still had an impact on like some of the results we'd had after he left the club, because he just seemed to change the mindset. And guys like Callum McGregor and James Forrest now go to Hampden, and I'm pretty sure they expect to win. or certainly think, if we do a right thing, we'll win this. So I think that's a big factor, and hopefully that's filled you all with some confidence. Just in terms of an injury update, first of all, the boring one, I think we know who we're talking about, didn't give much away with his side's fitness update. Stevie quoted as saying, "I don't want to say too much about the squad." This is Clement. He's just a bit weird, isn't he? Like, is he trying to keep things, not give too much away to get some sort of advantage? I believe Yilmaz, Sima and Balogun are the big players they kind of might have or might not have for the game. In terms of Brendan Rodgers, he was far more open. He said Stephen Welsh, who obviously had a shoulder issue from the St Mirren game, has trained the past few days. Welsh isn't going to start the match, but he's available. Everyone else in a good place, so no real injury concerns. Does the team pick itself, Stevie? No, Brendan Rodgers picks it.
10 of the 11 do. But
oh,
centre forward is the one that throws me off.
on.
But I think normally should be Furuhashi, but I just wouldn't be shocked if we see Adamida up there.
I would be surprised.
Right, okay. I wouldn't. But I think you'll be right. I think he will go with a tried and tested Furuhashi up front. But I'm just saying, even at the point where, if you said to me a few weeks ago, Adamida would be starting up front against Rangers, I would have been probably reactivating social media accounts and getting into meltdown and foaming at the gub, like something for World War Z. But no, I actually fully trust Brendan Rodgers' judgment, and I think, he has shown that he knows more about a big fat loudmouth like myself when it comes to football management. So I'll trust whatever team he puts out. But I'm just saying, I wouldn't be shocked if it was either. However, I think he probably will go with Furuhashi.
Kyogo's record against Rangers, especially at Hampden, think of that League Cup final last season. I just think Kyogo will start. I don't even think there's much of a debate. Well, there is a debate, and I guess that's a good point that Ida's made it a debate for some people like yourself. But for me, I'm very confident Kyogo will start. I think Ida's a brilliant option to have coming off the bench. A point I would make about this game, just looking at how the semi-final went, if things are tight, I would hope Rodgers maybe holds subs back a little bit. I just felt that in the Aberdeen game we got away with it in penalties at the end, but like the kind of latter stages of extra time, we had a lot of our key players who'd already been taken off, maybe some penalty takers who'd been taken off, etc. I think James Forrest, who was a sub himself that day, was then brought off for Naropsky, I want to say, later on. So I would hope maybe that if things are tight, Rodgers would maybe keep that in his mind. But I'm sure Brendan Rodgers knows far more about that kind of thing than me. But like, it fills you with confidence looking at that team, Stevie. There's like Matt O'Reilly, I just think is going to be a huge player. He's just playing so well at the moment. It just excites you, doesn't it? Rayo Hatate, I think, was pretty good against St Mirren, but I still think we're waiting on that blow-away Hatate performance when we say he's back. And it might not come till next season, but I think it'd be amazing to see it from him. James Forrest, I'm just excited to see every time. And Daizen Maeda, you always talk about his importance in these games.
Yeah, I'm looking forward, especially Forrest and Maeda will be ready to go after being fully rested last week. Also as well, seeing dominant CCV back in that team. He was rested too.
Johnston.
Exactly to have him. Oh, of course, that's right. Alistair Johnston will be back too, aye. Yeah, honestly, I think it's that midfield battle is key, and it is the cliche, and I hate saying it, you win the midfield, you win the game. But it's true. It's true. And man for man, we have better midfielders than Rangers, and that's a fact. But as well, Rangers have really struggled, and they have struggled to cope with the mobility and the athleticism of our midfielders and the way that we're intense compared to them. You look at them, they're very passive, they're standoffish, and their fans hate it. They know there's a glaring problem there. We, as the Celtic fans can see their issues, but yet their manager does absolutely nothing about it, and it winds their fans up. So there's so much pressure on him to bring, I think it's John Lundstrom starts for them automatically.
I don't think he'll start.
There's,
I think Raskin will come in for them. I'm pretty sure he'll start the game.
I mean, even at that though, that I don't see the big hype over him. You know, for what I've seen as well, Diamandi's tailed right off. And the big thing too is they can't play with a number 10 because effectively they've only got two midfielders up against our three that are just all over the park. Their two midfielders at hold are fairly static to play with a number 10, say as Lawrence or Cantwell. Neither have got the legs or the discipline to effectively play in that role where they're man marking one of our midfielders. It bodes well for us, just going by what I've seen before. Who knows, there might be a tactical tweak there that changes that, but I think I've just got faith in the likes of Callum McGregor, his leadership qualities and what he has in his locker in terms of being a serial winner. It helps for a start. I think you're right about Rio Hatate. We're really looking for this display to be like the masterclass from him, like we saw in stages against like Livingston and St Mirren, but we've no seen it sustained since. And Matt O'Reilly as well. I don't want to think about it, but we have to address it. It could be his last appearance for Celtic, and you'd love him to go out on an absolute high. And I know I don't want to bring you all down and everything. I'm just being realistic. But regardless if it's his last or if it's going to be playing next season, I'm just focusing on him doing the business on Saturday. I think he's due. I mean, not due because he was outstanding in the 2-1 game, but he could have played even better. And I just think he's got it in him to keep the game up on Saturday to such a high level again, because he has just been a big game player in the big game moments for us, and he's already scored at Hampden too against Aberdeen. So yeah, that's it. The big one for me is that midfield battle is absolutely key. Nail it, and you'll see how it'll go in the first 5 or 10 minutes, and I think the fans will feed off it if it's positive.
I think we've absolutely obliterated them in that midfield this season. So far, it's probably only that second half at Ibrox a month or so ago when they've kind of been stronger than us. But you think of that first half at Ibrox, we just completely dominated, and we were like, you talk about the quality, but the hunger of that midfield, even without McGregor that day in the first half, we're first to the second balls. In that game at Celtic Park, see the amount of shots we had from the edge of the box, and I think you're right, they just didn't have the legs to deal with our movement. O'Reilly is so good. I don't know, I can't ever remember a player who was so good at finding space as Matt O'Reilly. It's an amazing knack he has. And I think I don't particularly rate Raskin. He wouldn't get in our team. I certainly think he's a better option than our favourite, John Lundstrom, at the moment, because he's checked out.
Thank you, John.
So I think Raskin will make some sort of a difference, but I agree, if we play at our top level, I think that, as you say, at Diamandi's been struggling a little bit from what I've seen. So I think, again, it's the midfield, but it's also all the other areas. We're just really solid. As always, I think the worries, the left-hand side of defence, Scales and Taylor, that's where we were kind of exploited for the goal they got at Celtic Park, although Carter Vickers wasn't particularly great for that goal. So that's my kind of worry, but I just think generally we'll be all right.
I think Johnston did struggle against Silva at Celtic Park, unfortunately. Certainly in the first half, which worries me a bit. But if we remember to Sima starts, that's a potential issue, because Ibrox in the second half, when he came on, Taylor couldn't live with him. So we've got to find a way to nullify him. Kind of let him in the game at all. Again, this is self-explanatory. The players and the manager don't know this, but as a fan, that's just what I'm concerned about. Not having Alistair Johnson putting that type of performance that he did against Silva, and also Taylor to be stronger against Sima. Easier said than done, because I think he is a talented player, but I think they're the only two areas that I would say there's a concern. But if you look at areas where we can hurt Rangers in midfield and certainly out wide and then centre forward, but we've got the options there. Yeah, I don't think we need to be focusing on the negatives too much. But you're always going to think a wee bit in the back of your mind, aren't you? Because it's not going to be a foregone conclusion, Hamish.
Yeah, I think they'll probably come out kicking, because that's kind of like, I think when we're under pressure and need to show something, we come out and pass the ball with real tempo and take the game to them. I think their version of doing that is to kick us, and we saw that at Celtic Park. Remember, Tom Lawrence had a kind of very obvious takedown of Callum McGregor in the first few minutes wasn't booked. I think Diamandi somehow wasn't booked for about 3 or 4 fouls early on. So I expect and obviously Lundstrom's tackle, I expect the exact same from them. I think we need a strong referee. And on that subject, the referee is Nick Walsh, assisted by Callum Spence and David Room. Stephen McLean is the 4th official. John Beaton is on VAR. And assistant VAR is David McGeechee. So Nick Walsh is the ref and John Beaton on VAR. They are the headline acts in terms of the official team.
Sorry, we saw in the games this season, Hamish, that I know we're going about it and it's a bit of a running joke, but we've not had to worry too much about the referees and VAR this season against them as such. I'm very aware they got a penalty at Ibrox and it was all debatable and everything, but look, our talent has shone through and we've not had to worry about that or be whining or write very strongly worded emails to the SFA and the SPFL. That's not us. No anymore. No anyway. So
leave it till Saturday evening and we'll see.
That's all right. We'll write to the SFA next week. I think we've got enough talent to really focus on ourselves. And yeah, I think we will. I don't think we'll be talking about rest and all that in our next video.
Yeah, hopefully not. Right, okay, still a few things to talk about, but let's just do a wee change of direction. We're talking about a big game on Saturday, but there's also a big game on Sunday. Tens of thousands of Celtic supporters will go to Celtic Park. It's Celtic Legends versus Borussia Dortmund Legends. And to find out more about the game and a few other things, I spoke yesterday to Celtic Foundation Chief Executive Tony Hamilton, and he started off by chatting about what an enjoyable period it is to support Celtic.
It's been an incredibly exciting finish to the league campaign, obviously to both league campaigns. We had a spectacular result at Kilmarnock just over a week ago, and then the women won the league at the weekend in the exact same way that they had lost the league the year before, with a sort of last-minute goal. So it's very, very exciting. Scottish Cup final at the weekend, as you say. So plenty to be happy about if you're a Celtic supporter right now.
Georgios Samaras, we've got Jan Venegura Hesselink, Gary Hooper, Artur Boric, Stilian Petrov, my personal favourite, Effie Ambrose. He's involved Effie Ambrose as well.
Ballon d'Or, I think it is.
Correct. That's his full name, I believe. So I'll stick the full squads on screen for everyone at home to look at. Even the Borussia Dortmund squad, there's a few familiar names there, isn't there? Are you able to tell us a bit about what goes into putting together a squad for these games? Is it you? Do you sit down and go, I want him, I want him, I want him? Or is it more of a team effort?
It's more of a team effort across the foundation and engaging Scott Brown, who's the captain, and Paul Lambert, who's going to manage the Celtic side. So we've done a few of these games over the years here at Celtic Park, but the approach kind of changed for us just over a year ago when we went and played at Anfield in a Legends game. And Liverpool have got a really seasoned Legends team that they play 2 or 3 games a year. They play home and they play away. They've got some rules around the ages of players. They can't be still playing. They need to be at least 35. They take it very, very seriously. So we've kind of followed that model for Anfield, and we've tried to give ourselves a chance here of actually winning this game on Sunday. I know there's another reason for it. We're going to raise a lot of money for Celtic FC Foundation, which we can use for our project delivery. But as Celtic supporters, we always want to win every game that we play. So we think we've got a good squad. You mentioned Georgios Samaras there. I'm particularly excited to see him coming back because he's never played in any of our games before. It's actually 6 years since our last one at Celtic Park. So we're really, really excited about this. We're going to have a really strong crowd on Sunday, hopefully celebrating a double from the day before.
I take it Samaras is someone who was really good with the foundation. He strikes me as that kind of guy when he was at the club.
If you look at this squad, there's a commonality, if you like, about these players. They buy into what we're doing. They're happy to support us. As former Celtic players, they're always really, really happy to return home, and many of them see it as home. A lot of them might only been here a short while, but it's not until these players leave that they really appreciate what Celtic and Celtic supporters mean for them. So if they're fit enough and they get the call to come back and play, it's normally a really, really quick conversation.
Yeah, we want to win, as you say. It's the Celtic way, winning. But it's about raising money as well. Where will the money raised from Sunday go?
So we're doing a couple of things here. We're doing 3 things, actually. We're going to make a donation to Borussia Dortmund's foundation, because they do a lot of the stuff in Germany that we do in Glasgow and London and Ireland. So we're happy to do that. Scott Brown has been great with us for a long, long time, since he first came into the park in 2007. He lost his sister. She was really young at the time, so we're going to make a donation to the cancer hospital as well. And the majority of the money we're going to spend on our own projects that help alleviate poverty within our communities. So that's mainly the Paradise Pit Stop thing that we run here at Celtic Park. We open the stadium 4 times a week. We open the doors, people come in, individuals, families, a whole range of different people, and they come in here and get a hot meal. And that's a really welcoming environment. The food's really good. It's very friendly. People, if they need it, can get signposted on to other things that we do or other partners do. However, it costs us a lot of money to run that annually because we're doing it 4 times a week. So that's where the majority of the money will go.
Yeah, fabulous stuff. In terms of it being Borussia Dortmund, is there a reason they were chosen?
We've got a relationship there. Paul Lambert is obviously a European Cup winner. So I think it was the European Cup still in 1996 and not UEFA Champions League.
You're asking the wrong guy.
Absolutely. I have no idea either. Anyway, he's got a relationship there. We have a connection with him going back to the late 1980s. There are similarities between both clubs. The fans have good relationships as well. They buy into what we were doing. They have played these games. I think they've only played one in Germany, but they've played a lot of them internationally. So they've got a settled squad. And it seemed like a good fit for an end-of-season fundraising charity match for us.
Yeah, as I say, they've got some good names that people will be familiar with as well, so you can go and see both teams on Sunday. And it should be a pretty fun afternoon, as you mentioned it earlier, maybe even a chance to celebrate events from 24 hours earlier as well.
I mean, I think either way, whatever happens on Saturday happens. We've got half the stadium. Those who are lucky enough to get a ticket will have a great time at Hampden. It's always a privilege to be at the Scottish Cup final. I was looking back, actually. We've been in 20 of them since 1984, and I've had the privilege of being at every one of them. And even when we don't win, the couple of occasions that we don't win, it's always a day that you remember being at the Scottish Cup final. So people will have a good time. However, it's been a fantastic season in winning the league. I think that's been the priority for everybody connected with the football club. And if we can't celebrate a double on Sunday, we'll certainly celebrate being league champions for the 3rd year in a row.
That was Tony Hamilton. A big thanks to him for giving up some of his time. He's a very busy man, Stevie, but he gave up some time to chat to Celtic AM. So I don't know what that says about us, but one of our good pals was in the background of that interview as well, which I guess is nice.
That's good for the audience to know, mate. Really riveting information there, pal.
I don't know why I told you that. There's a couple other wee things that have just come out since then, just small things. Reports saying that a team of Man United legends will play Celtic legends on Saturday the 7th of September at Old Trafford. All proceeds from the match will go towards Manchester United's foundation work with young people across Greater Manchester beyond. That's from Andy Mitten down south, so we've got that to look forward to. And also, Brendan Rodgers will carry the Premiership trophy onto the pitch before the Legends match as well. So if you want to see Brendan Rodgers with one trophy, maybe even two if things go well tomorrow, then go along to that. So yeah, that's Celtic Legends v Borussia Dortmund Legends on Sunday. In terms of Saturday, Stevie, we've not mentioned it yet, but it's Joe Hart's final game. I know you don't want this to become the main story, but it is a story. So is it going to be a dramatic finish for Joe Hart, do you think?
I would like it just to be a routine finish, to be honest. I don't think I could cope with what we saw against Aberdeen. I think if in Joe Hart, and has said that if it went to a draw and went to penalties and he saved a penalty and then scored the winning penalty, right, looking back on it, it'd be amazing. But I don't think I'd be able to take it, man. This Heart's damaged enough, by the way, right, with my diet, so I don't think I could cope with that. But I'd take a convincing or a routine victory in the 90 minutes, but it's going to be some scenes if we do it and win the game, and the celebrations and the scenes for Joe Hart. Like, I mean, we saw at Celtic Park. I was fairly near the area when he had the megaphone out and everything, the Rapmaster 3000, and honestly, I mean, that was just special. It was great, and times I was welling up at his speech after the game. But yeah, I think at Hampden as well, it'll just be like, it'll even eclipse that, because it's going to be his last ever appearance in football, not just for Celtic. He's not moving on to another team. This is it. He's done, and what a career he's had. But it's a credit that this story, I mean, and I've said this has all been subdued this week, and I think that's a credit to Joe Hart, because it could have been all in the papers, and it could have been the last dance and all that. It could have been the Joe Hart farewell tour, and could have been all over like the BBC and TalkSport and every outlet making it all about him. He's not. I think it just shows credit to him how professional he's been, because he seems to be focused purely on making sure he's a winner for his last game. I dearly hope he is. He deserves it. As I said to you in the video that I recorded at Celtic Park on Saturday, I look back on it and don't want to say I'm ashamed, but I was really over the top with Joe Hart at the start of the season. Really harsh with him over daft mistakes against Ross County and Feyenoord and a few other games. And I saw part of our season and players improving and developing and getting their form back, isn't it? Because since that save against Aberdeen at Pittodrie, he's been instrumental for us. And, over the whole, in the last 3 years, it's just been big for us in general. Like, if we don't get Joe Hart in and we go with a different goalie in that Ange first season, probably miss that big game leadership and probably miss the experience. And I heard as well, like he was saying, Callum McGregor, that he was a bit of a wido and a wee bit cheeky, but not in a positive way. And Callum McGregor was like, yeah, it's fine, but remember, just don't toe the line. But you need that in a team. And I think Joe Hart has demonstrated how vital he's been to Celtic. And his form in the last few months has been absolutely tremendous. I hope he does it. I'd love to see it. But first and foremost, like everything else, it's just all about seeing Celtic lift another trophy. They're 118th, it could be, Hamish.
All right, yeah. I agree with you in terms of Joe Hart. I mean, there's a number of reasons I want Celtic to win tomorrow, but Joe Hart is one of the main ones. I think he would really deserve to go out a winner. So, yeah, in fact, I mean, the main thing is I'm glad we've won the league, and he's gone out as a league winner. But just in his final game, it'd be tough if we didn't win tomorrow. I think in his final game, I'm sure he'd get over it, but it'd be really, really amazing if the team could win tomorrow and Joe Hart could go out a winner in his final game. So that's a big part of tomorrow as well. But I think you're right, Stevie. It's Celtic v in the Scottish Cup final. It's not a testimonial for Joe Hart. Mm-hmm. Have you got your hoops looked out, Stevie? North Curve Celtic keen to remind supporters to wear the hoops to Hampden. There's also a march that leaves Glasgow Green at 12:30. Are you got a ticket for the game?
Aye, I'm going on Saturday, but it's a very touchy subject, and I haven't been full of bravado and all that about it, because I understand that there's a lot of people that have missed out. It's that I was speaking to Uncle and that about it. And look, shut up. The 99 Cup final and the 2002 Cup final, that was it. I don't remember anything like this at all. Like, I was, like, granted I was in my teens then, but it was like, so it was very straightforward to get a ticket, and a lot of people that I spoke to that I still keep in contact with, family obviously, God's sake, they're saying like it was like quite straightforward getting a ticket for the games, and I've never seen anything like it, where there's fans that go home and away that I know that are struggling for it. That's a different subject. Like, I know you're just asking me straightforward, am I going to the game? The answer is yes, but it's very, very fortunate to get a ticket in this occasion.
And hopefully it's a wonderful day. Kick-off is at 3 p.m. Game is live on the BBC and Premier Sports, so you've got plenty of options tomorrow. And fingers crossed, Stevie, we can round off what has at times been a bit of a struggle of a season. If we find a way to round it off by beating our rivals to win a double, this is a season that will somehow be remembered very, very fondly. It'll be pretty remarkable. Yeah,
it will be, especially after me a few months ago saying if we do win this league, it will just be a relief. Like, the way that we won the league was special. It really was. And if we do win this cup, win the double, it will be fantastic scenes. Honestly, I'm very much looking forward to it on Saturday. And hopefully we're going to get the same special scenes that we've seen 2023, 2017, 2018, 2019. I could be here all night, but you know what I mean.
So come on, Celtic, do the business, win, and let's have another day to remember. Stevie, enjoy yourself at the game. Same goes to all of you, wherever you're watching. I'll be watching somewhere here in Melbourne, midnight kick-off, so God knows what state I'll be in come kick-off. Should probably help with the nerves. And we'll reconvene at some stage after the game. Probably won't be after the game on Saturday because it's very late, but...
So you're saying you want me to record a wee video for you to hand in, mate?
Yeah, let's do that. Right, remember and subscribe, everyone. Get us to 7,000 or maybe even 7,500 by kick-off. You're all legends. Speak to you soon.